Hi everybody, Caesar here. In this video, we're going to tackle the second most important interview question per LeetCode, which is add two numbers. We're going to do it the same way we did it in the previous video, which is following the 4 steps. We're going to understand, diagram, write the pseudocode, and then actually code it. That way, you're not just copy pasting it, you're actually understanding everything that's happening. So without further ado, let's jump in. All right, so the first step is understanding. That one's easy. We just got to read over the problem. So let's just do that real quick. You're giving two non-empty linked lists representing two non-negative integers. So they can't be negative. That's easy. The digits are stored in reverse order, and each of their nodes contains a single digit. Add the two numbers and return the sum as a linked list. Okay, we're going to add the two and return the sum as a linked list. You may assume the two numbers do not contain any leading zeros except the number 0 itself. Okay. Like always, I just find it way easier to simply look at the input-output explanations. So let's do that while we jump into diagramming. Let's go. Okay, for this step, we're going to do the diagram. So let's just check out the inputs and outputs. So you can see L1 is 2, 4, 3, and L2 is 5, 6, 4. However, as you can tell by the drawing there, these are actually meant to represent like list node. So those are going to be a little bit different than having an array and iterating over the array with an I. I think a better way to represent what L1 and L2 are is this. So this way we can represent a linked list. And so instead of an I, what I like to do is put an X here to represent that I'm in the current value. And then this little arrow to the next to me represents the next item, the next node that is involved. Okay. So now let's see how we can diagram this. So the explanation says that it's 342 plus 465 equals 807, because it would be the same as us adding the 342 and the 465, which is the same as if we add those two, right? And it's the same because when you're adding something, you start from backwards and forward. Okay, so if we were to do that, is 2 plus 5, 7, and then 4 plus 6 is 10, but you don't add just 10 there, right? You put a 0, and then you go up and have a 1. So we're going to have this concept of a carry, right? And then 1 plus 3 plus 4 is 8, and that's how it gives us the 807. Okay, so what we'll do is let's go ahead and we're probably going to need a results, and it's clear that we're going to start with a node, so we'll do that. And then the same concept of a carry, so we'll have a carry of 0. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to be going through each number. So what we'll do is, just to make it easier while we're dealing with linked list, let's just do value of the first one, which is 2, and then the value of the second one, which is 5. And once we have those two values, we can then point to the next one, because then we have what we want from them. So we point to the next one, and then we go ahead and do the summation, which will be value of the first one plus the value of the second one plus this carry, right? Like in our example here, we have to take care of that one. So let's keep that in mind. So for us, the value 1 is 2, value 2 is 5, and then the carry, which for now is 0, that gives us 7. And once we have that 7, now we have to adjust our carry. So much like in our example, if the summation of the two numbers is greater than 10, then we have to set the carry to 1. So we'll do the same here. So if the summation is greater or equal to 10, then the carry will be 1. Otherwise, the carry will be 0. And then because there's the possibility that the sum could be greater than 10, and we can only put single digits in each one of the nodes, then we're going to set another variable called value. We're going to say sum modulus 10, so that in case it's greater than 10, we can just get the remaining past 10. All right. And if it's lower than 10, then it'll just give us the number as is. So that's a quick check. And then we can continue. So now that I have the value, what we're going to do is, then that's the value. So then as we can see, the sum is 7, right? Modulus 10, that's actually 7. And now that we have the value, we can come up here and set a result. But our result, we're going to because we're dealing with list node, we're going to have to do the same thing where we're going to have to set a current, and that current will start at the head of our results. Current.next, we're going to set to our value here of 7. And then once we have that 7, we can move current to .next. And we continue. Value is 4. And then once we set it, we can move to the next one. Value here is 6. Once we set it, we can move to the next one. We update our numbers. 4 plus 6 plus 0 is 10. And here's the case where the sum is greater or equal to 10. So that means that our carry is 1. So we set the carry to 1. And then our sum here is 10. 10 modulus 10, there's no remaining, 0. And now that we have a value, we come in here and we say cur.next is going to be 0. And now that we have a next, we move to next. And we continue. 3. And now that we have 3, we move over to null. And then we set it to 4. Now that we have 4, we move it again to null. We update our numbers here. Value 1 is 3. Value 2 is 4. And the carry that we had before is 1. So then 3 plus 4 plus 1 is 8. The sum is 8. Is it greater or equal to 10? No, so it's 0. So then we put the carry to 0. And then 8 modulus 10, it just gives us the full 8. So now that we have a value, we can go up here to our current and say, hey, the next one is going to have an 8. And now I want you to move to that one. After that, we continue, but this is null and null, so we don't have to do any more of the summations because we won't have them. We exit. After we exit, we simply return what we had, which is results, but we're going to say result.next so that it points to this. Return result.next. And that's 708, which is exactly what we have here, which is the result. Great. This works as long as carry is 0. However, if we at the end of this summation, we still have a number in carry, then we need to add that last number that we have in carry to our node. So we have to keep that in mind as we move on to the next phase, which is just writing the pseudocode. So let's go. Okay, great. So now we're going to write the P code. So the first thing we did was we're going to need our results variable. So let's do that. The next thing we'll need is this current variable. So we need to create a current variable pointing to results. The second thing we'll need is to create a carry variable. Now next, we're going to add the values as long as there are nodes. So while there is L1 or L2, we're going to do our summation. Now to make it easy on ourselves, we're going to create a val1 like we did here, but we can only do that if L1 exists. And then we're going to do the same thing for val2. Once we have value 1 or value 2, then we can actually move L1 to be the next one. So once we grab that value, we move it to the next, and we do the same thing with L2. Once we grab the value, we move it to the next one. And we do the same one with L2. Next, we create the sum variable, and we make sum equal value 1 plus value 2 plus the carry. Then we set carry to 1 if sum is larger than 10, otherwise it'll be 0. Then we create a variable named value, because sum could be larger than 10, and we set that to sum modulus 10. Now that we have a value, we set cur.next to value. And now that we have a cur.next, we move cur to cur.next. Then we return results.next. Now this only works as long as there's nothing remaining in carry. But if there is something remaining in carry, then we need to add a list node to cur.next with 1. Great. So here you go, now you have it. Now we wrote our P code. Now comes the easiest part, which is just translating this P code into code. Now I do it this way, so in case you write in any language other than JavaScript, then it's easier for you to just be able to translate it and follow what's happening. Let's go and translate this from P code to code. Let's go. All right, so now we translate it from pseudocode to code. So let's do that. We basically wrote everything else, so we just really have to go line by line and just write it out. So create results variable. Create cur pointing to results. Create carry variable, and we just set it to 0. While L1 or L2, create val1 to L1.value if L1 exists, and do the same thing for val2 to L2 value if L2 exists. Set L1 to L1.next, set L2 to L2.next. Create sum variable adding up to val1 plus val2 plus the carry. Set carry to 1 if sum is more than 10, else 0. Create val variable and set to sum modulus 10. Set cur.next to val. Move cur to cur.next. If carry, then add list node to results.next. And at the end, return results.next. And that's it. We translated it from P code to code. Now let's see if it works. There it is. Accepted. Yay. All right. Yeah, that's it. We followed the 4 steps. This is actually a medium problem. So this is kind of the problems that you're probably going to be facing in your interviews. So anyway, let me know if you liked that. If you did, please subscribe. If another thing that you can do actually that would be really helpful is put down in the comments any actual LeetCode problem that you want me to solve. Go step by step. I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, see ya. Thanks.